Good evening to all the participants. I would request all the participants to please mute their mics during the session, and also please make sure that you will not press the present now button in the screen. Now, good evening and a warm welcome to all the patrons. I am Pallavi, a student of SRM Institution of Science and Technology, currently doing my fourth year in Bachelor's of Architecture and will be your host for the day. Today, today's talk is based on a very interesting subject that is about the handmade products. Handmade products are basically a form of art and crafts that requires a lot of skills and knowledge. If we go back to history, it was one of the profession people used to follow to earn their living. Fortunately, even myself in the past have gotten an opportunity to volunteer in such types of products and it was one of the most wonderful experiences I have had. Now, to talk about these handmade products, I am happy to welcome our star speaker of the day, Architect Narayani, Associate Professor of SRM School of Architecture and Interior Design, and our moderator of the day, Architect Sukeshni, Assistant Professor of SRM School of Architecture and Interior Design. Now, I would like to hand over to Mrs. Sukeshni to speak a few words.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. I am Architect B. Sukeshini, the moderator of today's session. I welcome you all to the webinar 2020 Alumni Connect Session 4. Today's guest speaker is A.R. Narayani, who is going to narrate her story on her love and fascination that she have for handmade products. Few words about A.R. Narayani. She completed her BArch and MArch from SRM School of Architecture and Interior Design and currently pursuing her PhD on the grounds of JIS. She has an independent architectural practice in the name of Schema, formerly known as ARN Architects and Interior Design. She is the founder of Color Crafts, an art and craft venture that collaborates with self-help group and NGOs. I take immense pleasure to welcome you today, ma'am. Now, the forum is over to you.
Thank you, Sukeshni, and thank you, Pallavi, for that very warm welcome. I'm indeed blessed to be here on this platform and talk about a very subject that is very close to my heart, the craft and the art and craft. I think I'll just start off with the presentation. I don't know if you're aware of the Slido app that we have already been trying out. So I would like the participants to just so as you can see the name Color Crafts, it's a very interesting venture that we never thought will grow to this level. The name itself is an indication of where we are heading towards, the color and the crafts put together. So I think my first question, I would like to gauge the audience and what will be your interest or what will be your perception of handmade products. So if you can log into Slido and you can just, give me a poll on that. The code is available. Just try to give me an answer to that. We will later discuss about it and we will later look into the retrospect into what is happening into it. So I just want you guys to go in a couple of minutes so that we can check out what is happening with the handmade products. So those who have tuned in prior or those who are tuning in today for the first time, Slido.com is available. You can just type it and the hashtag ACKK04 and please try to answer the poll. We are having the votes coming in and just quick. We are having close to 13 votes. Okay. I think that the poll can keep going till the end of the session as well. So my first slide here, you can see that art is something that makes you breathe with a different kind of happiness. I think a lot of people keep asking, what is the energy that is within you? So I take a personal inspiration from art. Art is not like only a simple form like a painting or a sculpture. It can be in any form. Wherever you look, you will be able to find art, and it really gives you that pleasure of looking at things or just expressing or enjoying art as well. So today I'm just going to take you through a journey of how I had actually been connected with these art, with the craft, and how I am actually, my passion has been converted into something more towards a social cause as well. So I'm just going to start off with a very emotional connect. So this is a picture of me and my grandma, probably I think 30 years or 25 years back. So she was my first guru, and the entire tribute to who I am today belongs to her. So she was my first guru in the sense she was a vocational trainer. So she was very good at needlework, and that was the first person who instilled the love for art and the love for having needlework and how you can use various things at home, those pretty laces, crochet, knit, etc. So you might think, why am I talking about her? Because she is the most inspirational person in my life, and I think I owe everything to her till date, to what I have been through the journey. So through the years, how it has started. So I think today's kids really don't understand what art is. We do art and craft, we do so much of videos, there is so much on the YouTube, internet, everything is available to them. But back in those days, it was not like that. Probably it was one class in the session in your school, or probably it was like you had a scrapbook work, or you were made to do that as a project during your vacation, so that over the vacation you submit a project, something like that. So everybody starts off with, the picture of the first picture is a drawing by my son. So I think we all start somewhere there, just doodling, just scribbling something and trying to color it and trying to put our imagination to work. So that is where the initial creative aspect starts. You can be an architect, you can be an artist, or you can just be any common layman. You need not be, a real time trained artist to be creative. So that was what I wanted to convey. So we all start off at some point during our school days, and at that point, but really, do we take it further? Do we take it further? No one knows, because over the years the education system is such that you're so much pressurized by all the syllabi and the kind of learning content that is available today. Oh my god, it is even difficult for me to decipher what is there in fifth grade. So that kind of an artistic talent when you have at 3 years of age, and what happens to it when you move further down. So I trained, yeah, I was not a trained artist, nor I was into any kind of training prior to architecture. So that is the model there. That was my final year thesis UG model. I'm not able to get a hang of my PG model. So that was a UG model. And at that time, uh, I think all of us have gone through this process where, we have a lot of stationery. In fact, my father used to tell me, for the amount of stationery I really got you, we could have built a house. So the entire, I think all architects will be able to connect with that. The reason, you will always be short of, your pen. You won't have those pencils. You don't have markers, sketch pens. At any given point of time, when we go to a stationery shop, you'll feel like buying anything of that stationery that is available there. So this model is a very interesting connect, because at 10 years before, I mean, I think 10 years ago, when model making was not that as a professional model making event, or only it was available only to organizations. At that point, it was very expensive. And being in a kind of background that I was, affording towards such, I think this model would have cost me a bombshell at that time, which my parents were already cribbing on the amount they expend in making me study architecture. And so from there, so this was hand done, and again, believe me, my entire family worked towards it. So there were kids who were helping me with the glue, there were people who were just coloring something, there were people who were cutting it across, and so things like that. We were a team, and there were seniors. I think some of them are even here tuned into this talk. There were some seniors who had actually commented and given me a lot of feedback and helped me with it through the day. So the journey towards architecture as such also is very interesting for me, because from the stream that I was from a biological stream, as in I had this botany, zoology, physics, chemistry, and maths as my core subjects. And when I was given the choice to take, what is your, what are you going to pursue further down? I was very clear in just one thing. I was engineering was a great craze at that time, and especially I think EC, computer science, and IT. So I was very very keen telling them I will do anything with physics, anything to do with maths, but nothing to do with engineering. So that was my only talk. I was like, this is what I am. I will not be able to sit and do those engineering jobs. And so my dad just gave me one suggestion. Okay, why don't you try this exam? There is something called the aptitude test. Back then, we didn't have NATA, so we had the aptitude test conducted by the state university, I guess. So we had that point was a turning point in my life, because the moment I entered into the exam cell and I was able to look at the paper, I think MPC, everybody is able to go through that. The reason we're all trained very well in 12th so that you will be able to do those MPC questions. But what about the analytical part? What about the sketching part? I didn't go for any training as such. So it was entirely out of my own interest that it came across through the sheet. And by God's grace and all other well wishers, I was able to get through the exam and get a very good opportunity to join the SRM as a student. So my first counseling was via the Anna University counseling, and I had the chance to get into this beautiful college and campus. I still believe the first day when we entered, we were taken aback by the beautiful campus which used to have. Many of you here know only about the new campus. I am talking about the old campus, which has a very great grandeur entry, and then it is lush with gardens. And the first block, that was the high tech block for us. So back then, again, we're coming back to architecture as a course. My first year was very interesting, actually. Basic design was one subject which we really loved, and I think Professor Roshnara ma'am, if she's here, I think Sudha ma'am, they were all pioneers, and we had Rama Karthikeyan ma'am, Kamala Kannan sir, so many of them who had tuned me back into where I am today. I'm really grateful for that. And from there on, my architectural journey, yes, as a student, started with a lot of creative works, workshops, and all that. And finally, I ended up with this kind of a model for my final thesis, which was completely handmade. I am very proud to showcase this even after 10 years, because I carry the pride that it is completely done by yourself. The satisfaction that you get from doing something or your own, it's like seeing your baby just being born or grow. So from there on, yeah, after architecture as a student, I immediately didn't join masters, though I've had some opportunities, but I was keen on pursuing how it is in the field. So 3 years I worked as a junior architect, and from there I ventured on my own practice. So that is where this ARN comes into place. And during my practice is when I realized, what are we doing? Where is the creative part? Because I was trained in an office which was very, very highly sophisticated interiors. We were dealing with materials of all sorts that were very new and very interesting to work with. But over a period, I think 2 3 years, it became very monotonous and very mundane. Where is the relation? Where is the link? Because these products neither had any life, and they were not expressive, and it was always the same old plywood. You just put a backing, you put a white backing, you then put a laminate, you have to have the glossy tiles, then you have your solid surfaces and all buffers and so many things. But when I looked into the site, when I really went into site, that is when I realized, how much of art is around us, and we really don't appreciate that. I worked with a team of carpenters and yeah, masons and all those masons who work with tiles, marble especially. So that is when I realized the materials that are we using are not native, nor are they, interesting. We are just showcasing something that is out of life. So from there, once I started my own practice, this is when I realized I have a small story here. When I started off my practice, I didn't have much of financial support. So one of my carpenters is like, "Ma'am, we have some leftover laminate that is available with us. That is what we've after finishing my table and a little bit of the interiors that we had done. What do we do with that?" And we had a square feet, 100 by 100. I mean, sorry, 10 by 10 square feet of office space. That is all, with two trainees and an assistant, and very good team of artisans. There are carpenters, the tile person, and the other laborers that we had. Very interesting people. So he started when every day they will sit and any of these. Why I've put this glass bottle is I have a love for working with glass painting. So I had a very old painting there, and these guys, out of the waste wood that was available in the site, they had made a beautiful frame, and that was a Ganesha. Apparently, it was a tabletop that was thrown away somewhere, and it had landed up in my office, and I had painted it with some glass colors that was available with me. And these guys actually framed it up for me and hung it on a beautiful wall, which was texture painted. And that became a classic example of how art can be, how it can be expressed, how it can be reused and recycled as well. Nobody understood that it was an upscaled art, and people were asking me, "Where did you buy that? Is it for sale?" So I was very shocked when I got that kind of feedback from all of our clients, people who visited our office as well. And and from there on, not just professionally, I always intend on telling people that keep your hobbies alive. Your hobby is nothing but to take, it is like not like a regular profession where you are given deadlines, where you have to submit reports, where you have to look at clients, fit in a lot of things. But a hobby is something that you do out of your own passion. So keep it alive. Always keep it alive. I developed this hobby of painting on glass when I was in first year of architecture. So I think Kannan sir, Professor Kannan, he was the one who had actually taught us on OHP sheets, where we were not given glass for a simple reason. We were it was very delicate, and we were all handling it very badly. So we were given OHP sheets to work on. And that I kept doing that on and on. And whenever I used to get a glass piece, I used to do that. But this is a small example of how I had painted in a glass bottle and made it into a small lamp. And further down, I'm always connected to this thread of that art and craft probably. That is like the experience. There you see, it might sound interesting, but I really don't know how to do I don't know how to do a rangoli or a kolam design. Because I stayed in an apartment, and we didn't have the opportunity to train for that. So that was an experience at Jackson Chitra, but it was followed up by a terracotta workshop. The workshop was given by a potter from London, and that actually there I realized how people get so connected with craft, especially when you're molding the clay, when you're trying to pursue the handmade object, and then they also showed us how to burn it, bring it to life, how you feel in color. So many things were happening in that project as well. So that was my first connect with an art foundation. They were curating art, and and later on I started following their newsletter and events. And whenever I really get a chance, though you repeatedly go there, it is a source of inspiration for all of us. I recommend students who are here, if you're tuned in, please go visit at your own interest. Don't expect the faculty have to take you, because these kind of spaces, these kind of areas will really allow you to explore more on the forum of art and craft. So from simultaneously, when I said I ventured out, so my first independent project, it was a very surprising one. I didn't really expect. It was again given to me by one of our seniors, because he was leaving abroad for his higher studies, and so he had just finished the civil work on it, and he had given the interiors. Why don't you try out? You're just starting out, and you'll have fresh ideas. And apparently my client was a silk merchant. So now you know why that slide is there, the silk merchant. So he had an old house, and which was in use, and they were building a new one. So when you go onto the house, you see on the cornice level, or on the ceiling, the false ceiling level, There were already bands of, I think, acrylic sheets which were having these floral motifs that you see in a sari border. And that was actually running through the entire living area. I was wondering what, because I was trained in an office that was very clean lines, very neat finishes, and I was not exposed to anything of, these kind of native motives. So when I went there, and surprisingly, he asked me, "We want all these very posh interiors in our house, and we're looking at only straight forms." And the person is also a traveler, so he keeps traveling and coming back, and every 1 month or 2 months, he keeps telling us, "This is what we want." Yeah, this is what he wants and what he wants us to do. Somebody's mic is on.
I would
Mr.
like
Sivaram,
to request. I would like to request Sivaraman or Krishnan to turn off their mic. Thank you.
Yeah. So from there on, there was an interesting story. There was a worker in his place. He had these punch cards. I don't know how many of you have seen the silk print is made in punch cards. No, I'm getting a feedback. Should I mute
yes.
it?
Hold on. Mr. Sivaramakrishnan, can you mute your mic, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So from there on, there was this interesting worker who was, he was like the patron of his boss. So he had come to me, and we are working on CAD. They were working on CAD, and from the punch cards, he drew out a couple of designs, very interesting borders that you see in those Kanjivaram saris. And can we have these designs on the floor? And yeah, we really discussed that with the marble cutter, and it cost us a bomb. And we asked, why do you need this? And he said, no, because we are building it for a silk merchant. It has to portray his love for silk, and he's into silk business for generations. So that was how my first project started. So again, there I could see what is the connect, how people connect with art, how people perceive art. So like we said, though we were giving them Italian marble, and we were giving them all acrylic surfaces, we were giving them solid surfaces, sandwich glass, but the common man wanted to connect what he will see daily, what he can relate to daily. So that is when I realized there is some kind of human experience or humanness that is missing when we project or when we go forward in our projects. And see that this is just a collage of all the glass paintings that I used to do. And these paintings are very special because none of them are there with me right now. It has all been gifted, and some of them with our seniors as well. It was just as a part of keeping my pressures or my stress away. So anytime I feel really stressed out, I used to go take a piece of glass and start painting on them. So that was the journey or the connection with the craft. Now coming to the real part, how did this color crafts grow or come? So this has already been brewing, I think, from my childhood till now. Now, how do we go about it? Color crafts was nothing but I wanted to showcase that, yeah, this I have a hobby, and I did want to showcase to the public or social media. That was the only place we took solace. So I think around 2013 we started off of the page on Facebook, just telling that okay, we are going to just upload all the pictures and keep it going. But nothing really happened then. And after a couple of years, I mean, this was happening even when I started work with SRM, and 3 years down the lane. A couple of years later, that is when the real picture came into place. So that is when we really decided, why don't we take it forward? We have close to 1,000 followers now from where we started in a couple of years. So this ideology is I can see how it was. I can tell you how it was framed. So the name Color Crafts is to have this color and craft, and each element in it should denote a craft. So you can see the color for the K, and the button, the pencil, the needlework, a scissor, a paintbrush. So much was involved. This was created by a very good friend of mine. We were brainstorming. We had a lot of iterations. It didn't come up in one day. We almost took close to 6 months to come up with. Finally, we landed up here because I started off with a mandala. I was very crazy about a mandala. From a mandala, the entire logo came into perspective, and that is how we came and branded the entire forum. And from there on, how to start an online business, craft business, because I was so much into it, and everybody was like, "Why don't you sell your products?" I was like, "No, why should I sell? I'm not interested in selling the product." So when we pondered into this craft as a business. So I would like all of you to look at this lady. She's a very interesting person in my life. So when we had on one fine day when Color Crafts had its logo and everything done, but we had no products to sell. We didn't know what to sell, how to showcase. And one day my uncle, he took me to one place, just telling me, "You will like it there. They have some unique products that you'd like to buy. Why don't you go and check it out?" I said, "What do they really have so unique?" Because I've been visiting all the forums. I've been visiting Dakshin Chitra. I've been visiting Kalakshetra. I've been visiting Vallur Kotam. And so, what is so unique about their products? He said, "Just go, have a look at it, and you will like it." And it was really true. I really liked those products. I went there to buy. Trust me, I went there to buy just one file for myself, and I ended up landing. I ended up buying close to, I think, 10, 20 files, and the intention was just to give my friends, because I knew all of them will like it, and it's something unique and something really handmade, and I will be able to sell it, not sell it, just gift it to them. And talking about this interesting person, this vendor, I won't call her a vendor. She is Her name is Rani, and she is close to 65 years old. She is running a self-help group in the district of Tiruvallur, and she is such an interesting lady, as in she has so much of enthusiasm. Every day she calls and says, "I am going to meet the collector. How do we take this forward? How do we take the self-help group forward?" So we generally travel over the weekend to her place. So they have a very small unit. So the first time I went there, it was through the beautiful paddy fields. It is a few minutes away from Chennai, from the Chennai highway. Actually, from the heart of the city, it's close to 1.5 hours travel. So when we went there, see the previous slide, you can see that it looks like she's neatly dressed. She's got a lot of finished products at hand, but the actual condition of the unit that was there, the actual condition, it was just a 10 by 10 room, and it was not even finished. It had just a cement flooring there, and there were close to 4 or 5 people from the local village who were doing the job for them, and that too on a very part-time basis, on a daily wage basis. So there, what we can see is we walked through the paddy field, and then we finally went to our place. And there, on the left side, you can see the team that is actually doing that. That's a small space that they do the teamwork. They have only one cutting machine, and which cuts all the thing, and all other folding and fabric work is done. So this lady, she really travels every week to Paris Corner from her place by bus, and she collects all the material. She selects which fabric to buy in wholesale. The quality of the fabric has to be good, and the cost also has to be super fine, because it has to contain inside. And all her products, I'll tell you, if you buy them in any of the malls, it is priced more than 10 times. So when she just told us, so I don't, why don't you just pitch for it? Why don't you open a shop and go? No, we can't. We don't have that kind of a manpower. So I would want to make a note here. These products cannot be manufactured like that in the machine world or in a factory, because the kind of manpower that they have, one day there'll be 5 people, the other day there'll be no one to help out. But she still strives and strives to go ahead, make it happen. Every year there is an exhibition that is done by the government. There is this Anna Teresa self-help group center in Chennai, next to the Vallur Kotam in Nungambakam, where every year there is a huge mela that happens in the month of May, 15-20 days, where these people keep putting stalls. They don't really get much, because she travels from 5 in the morning and she reaches back home only at 11. But still, her enthusiasm towards these kind of products, that gave me a big boost to go forward. And another interesting person, if you have frequently visiting Pondicherry, you would have seen this person there. He is the collaborator with Snehan Bags. Snehan is an organization, it's an NGO which is connected to homeless people. And so they had a set of people who are working on NGO, who was working on these aspects, and they produced high quality cotton bags which were used for conferences. And they had an ideology, very interesting ideology. I asked the person, he's a traveler. He was brought up in a orphanage actually, and in a home. So he is very passionate towards the society, how you have to have a social relevance with whatever we do. So he was explaining what was the proceedings, how it goes on, goes forward. So there, a very interesting story he used to tell us. The Jolna bags that were there in the 80s or in the 70s and the 80s are no more existing now. And so they are specifically designing all their bags in the form of Jolnas, and they're promoting Jolna bags. And I asked how many of you like it? And when we went there, it was very difficult for us to even get hold of him because the orders were pouring in. There was so much of support. They started off selling on the beach road with just a tricycle, and they have a small unit there, and which caters to the homeless. The proceedings go there, and as the NGO functions. So these bags are also part of when we were very collaborating with each other. It was very interesting that these bags had come up, and most of our fraternity, architects, artists, prefer to have these kind of bags as well. And yeah, the art of kalamkari, I'm not going to talk much on the art itself. Here again, we were collaborating with self-help group somewhere close to Kalasti, where there were a women folk of like 10 to 15 people. Every day they will send me an update, today this sari is done, today this material is done, and the intricate work they do. They have the fabric, then they have the kalam, that is the pen that they draw with, and then it's graded, it's dyed with probably the natural dyeing process. Why I wanted to put this slide was kalamkari has become a craze in the past 2 years. Everybody, whatever you see, you want to wear kalamkari, but nobody knows what is the art form behind it. Kalamkari is what we get is generally printed. The printed material sells for around less than 10% of the original. Very at a very low price. Whereas for example, if I have to compare a square meter or a one running meter would be around 30 rupees, 40 rupees, whereas the original piece, a single sari will cost me around 2,500, 3,000 rupees. So in that case, what was happening to the livelihood? So they came to us telling that, can you promote us? Is there a possibility then, can it happen? So we took them on our platform, and seriously, there has been a welcome change. And even today, they have texted telling, even in this lockdown period, ma'am, we are processing. We will be able to courier. Is there a platform for us to go ahead with that? So these kind of art forms, not just is a livelihood for these people. We are fancying them. Buying handmade is no more a fancy. Buying handmade is to make a lot of livelihoods. The urban population today, we say that a maid doesn't have her salary, or an artisan. What happens to these artisans? Where do they go? And all of these are not technically trained. They are not technically trained people. They are not people who can have a 9-to-5 job. Their entire livelihood depends upon these kind of craft and these kind of artworks that they do. Another interesting personality that I met during my journey, she's Dr. Manorama, and she runs an organization called Community Health Education for the Society. And we tied up with her. There was a call one fine day telling us that we have an online auction, and will you be able to support us? And how? I asked how, ma'am, because I am only a seller, or I just have to sell my product. She said, no, you can. If you can give me your products on credit, I will post it on my Facebook, or I will post it on my forum, and from there I will be able to sell, and the proceedings will be going to the homeless children. So that is how we started. So I gave her yeah, okay, let's try it out for one. What is going to happen? Not much of investment is there. So yeah, we gave it on credit, and apparently the sales was good. She had taken it up, and the proceedings went for the charity organization. But the year after that, that is when the interesting part comes. She came back to us with these diyas for the Diwali season last year. So it was done by the children there. It was done by as a part of their school project, as their part of the home project. So it came to us and neatly packed, very beautifully done diyas. And these diyas, when we had projected that on our platform, every school around the locality wanted to take it up because it was packed very neatly. It had its own package and the way it was placed and the color combination. It was so interesting, how art can be a transformation in each other's lives. And coming to the last session, how to connect with Gen Next. Now we are talking about something which is way off. Today I'm on a techie world where everything is technology. I see everything virtual. I can even feel everything on the phone. I'm always on the phone typing, Googling, WhatsApp. So how do we connect with Gen Next? So these pictures are our student volunteers who had taken part in an event last year in the college itself. One of our very own host, I think she's here with us. So this is when we gave them a chance to, do it, just try it out. No hassle in it. Don't be afraid of trying it. Just see how the project works. See how the product sells. See what you will connect with the product. And I generally do a lot of exhibitions, but these exhibitions are limited only to schools. We don't do anything on a commercial aspect or on a bigger scale reason. Once the commercial point comes in, the scale of project goes higher. You will not be able to maintain the product value. What I mean by product value is not the pricing alone. The product has to reach all the masses. Handmade products are expensive, not just, and it is not very, it's a very wrong notion. It is made expensive. It is not really expensive. It has to reach everybody. Everybody has to know. Handmade is not just something that you do and sell. It is eco-friendly. It caters to a lot of livelihoods, and it is a very passionate job where one puts heart and soul into working out every single project, every single product that is made. So I would like to just finish off with a quote. Please support the makers, and when you support these kind of small businesses, you're not just promoting income, you're also supporting a beautiful dream that they will be able to aim higher. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the interesting session. So now we can move to the question and answer session. So you can
I
post
think
your question.
it was not a very boring session, people, because I was not able to see on the screen. So I just think I didn't go too much on the theory part of it. So I'll be happy to take a few questions if there is anything on the chat box, or I think I will just put Slido on for you, so you can also put your slides. It will be directly visible on the screen as well. Yes, Sukesh, anybody?
Yes, ma'am. So you can post your questions in the slido.com.
So now, Sukeshni, if I can just intervene,
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to show what has happened with the poll that we had conducted in the initial, before we get to the.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
If we have time for that, I would just.
Yeah, we have 10 more minutes.
Yes. Okay,
So while we are waiting for,
yes,
while
but
we
that
wait,
is.
go for it.
Yeah, that is the poll that we've received. So 78% say they do buy handmade products, and 17% maybe, and 6% say no. So I think after this session, probably there might be a change in the balance, and they would opt to go for handmade products. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so Narani, while we take the question, I'd like to quickly thank the audience
Yes.
for participation and continuous support. I also want to tell them that we would like to take this initiative to the next level. We are shortly coming up with a celebrity talk series, and we'd like to give you a glimpse of the list of speakers we have lined up for you. The first speaker will be Dr. Untitled, Chairman of Alumni College of Architecture. So V.R. Rajendran, Chairman of CAD College of Architecture. And Dr. Panchalan, retired professor. So these are this is just a glimpse of the upcoming celebrity talk series, and we hope you would love that as well.
Yes, I think the questions have started to pop up. So Keshni, if you want to read something from the chat box, you can go ahead till it comes. Yeah, okay, it's there.
Yes, ma'am. We have really some good comments about your presentation, but we didn't get any questions here.
Yeah, I think Slido is on. You can read from the screen if you're if you can see that.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, why are handmade products always expensive when compared to machine-made products?
Like you said, see, the answer is there in the question. Machine-made products, in one day, I'll be able to churn out 100 products, probably 200 products. And the timeline and the kind of employment required for machine-made products are different. But for handmade products, the expertise, the skill, a person has to learn the skill, and then the expertise, and then it has to go into the sales. So that is why I think handmade products are much more expensive. But the more we start buying, the more I think the it will reach the entire spectrum of the society where we can go ahead. Yeah, if that answers your question. If you, okay. Okay. How durable are handmade products?
How?
Okay, how durable are handmade products? It depends on the material that we buy, fabric or glass or ceramic. So it is like a precious metal, or it's a very close to heart thing. So most of them who buy handmade products are treasure them. So I think they are durable if you know how to use them and how to you keep them throughout their life. A sari pattern and texture for a wall treatment. No, the sari pattern is not used as a texture. The border of the sari was used as the border on a marble flooring. That was what I was referring to. It was not used, it was just suggested actually. And what they had done earlier was the pattern was used at the lower level of the ceiling, and the floral motif, like how you see in Athangudi tiles, where the tile has a floral motif that is running through. So that was used in their old house, and in the new project we were not able to do that because the costing of cutting those very small pieces of marble was very high, and inlay work especially was very high when we had to go for it. So we didn't go for that. Yeah.
So, do you find it too difficult to organize the timing for these handicrafts? Because the timing, each and place will be difficult. Right?
Timing, it's a very interesting question. Is how to organize time management is very important, not just in handicrafts. It is very important in all aspects of life. I have a notion that every job has to be done very efficiently, And if you're doing it full-fledged with your whole heart, anything is possible in all 24 hours to come. And what I understood in this was we never used to, take it as a job. The whole point is if you think something has to be done, it has to be delivered, then it is not going to happen. But when you're passionate about it, automatically things turn in and fall in place. So when I mentioned that we used to travel over the weekends to these places. So I never used to travel alone. Trust me, I used to take my entire family so that they also get a hang of what we are doing from a very small age. My kids are very small, so from that age, right from that age, I would like them to understand that we are so blessed today to have so much of luxury, and there are people who are just standing there, with not one morsel of meal. So when they understand those things, it turns life around for you. So you know that every minute is very precious. You don't have to waste time. And age is not a factor at all. Like I showed, the 60-year-old lady was the most inspirational person. And my grandmom, up to the age of 87, till the last day, she was on her needlework. I didn't record that in the presentation, but as an architect, when certain things strike me, we used to needlework as in crochet and knitting and all that. They have a certain mathematical calculation that goes behind. There is a pattern and a formula that is followed. So when you have in a knit, where in a knitting course where you have a pearl and a knit, how you repeat it and how you organize it, how it portrays a pattern or a rhythm, forms the entire attire and the entire dress. It is very interesting when you probe into it. It's scientifically, you can probe into it scientifically and see that it has a mathematical value to it. So these kind of things, I don't think age matters in these kind of things. Age is only in the number, not in the heart. And any place, you have to be a little cautious at certain times, but otherwise I think this it is safe to travel as well. I think I've answered that question. If yes.
Yes. So, can you send some light on how you manage balance to make enough sales to support the brand, and what is your plan for future growth?
Okay. Is there an investor in this forum? Because I would gladly like to answer that if it is an investor. And we have been getting some calls from angel financing as well. See, like I said, it is a hobby and a passion. So how do I manage? First, initially, we had to keep some capital to work on it. And then after 6 months, we did break even, and closely around after that, now the forum is completely sufficient. That is, what comes in is used for is invested within itself, and then it keeps running. Most of our sales comes from supporting the NGOs. We have a very small margin where we make the profit, and future growth yet to plan. I am planning to take it on a bigger level, as in support or give training for these kind of people, support lot more self-help groups, because I live in a community, a gated community, and we have a lot of villages around my community. And when you see, they are gardeners or they are housemaids who come and support the higher income groups. But what is that they do? So in those areas, if you can go to those rural areas, skill them, give them the skill, and train them in those aspects, it will be a real upliftment for that family as well. So my future plan, yes, I'm not planning to venture, or I'm not planning to take it up on a commercial scale, but more towards the social and the urban livelihood sort of thing. That is what I see in the future for this.
And here you have a suggestion in the chat box.
Yes, please.
So, a participant has suggested you to create a digital album for all of your works and sell each as a single offering to the buyers. So this is a
Okay,
suggestion from a participant.
okay. I will look into. We have a Facebook page right now, but yeah, I will look into that later. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, here comes the next question, ma'am. In your opinion, it is very important for a creative person to feel and experience handmade products.
Why, in your opinion, it is very important for a creative person to
Yeah.
feel and experience handmade products? Okay, I really don't know how to answer that, but a creative person always will have an experience towards handmade products. If you are creative, you will never go for something that is repetitive, that is ready made, that is already available in the market. Even if you want to, write your name, you will want the font to be different, the styling to be different. So in that case, when the product is unique by itself, I'll tell you, even if those groups make 10 different boxes, and those 10 different boxes will be different from each other, probably the color will be different, or even if I give them the same fabric, the same material, but the sizes, something will be different and unique about each of these products. So as a creative person, we are always in search of something very different and something very unique. So in that case, I think it is very, very important to uh, experience the first hand experience, the joy of using handmade comes there. There's one more question on the top, I guess. So Keshni, should we go for it? How do you incorporate the aesthetics of architecture to color crafts?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. This will be the last question for the session. So, how
Yes.
do you incorporate?
The aesthetics of architecture to color crafts. The aesthetics of architecture, yes. See, like I said, I started off with my journey towards this entire process. So, architecture, in one way or the other, is trained as any architecture student will go with me. It has trained us to look into patterns. It has trained us to look into all the principles of design. So when you look at a product, you will really feel, or you will know intuitively. Your gut will tell you that this product will work for you. The proportion might be right. In fact, we have had feedbacks coming back that whatever products you curate, we curate as a team. I have a small team with me. We curate are very different from that of the what we get in the market. How is, even if it's the same kind of a product. For example, if it's a jewelry box, the jewelry box that you get in regular market will be different from what you get from this platform. Probably that is because we are trained to look at patterns. Certain patterns might not work. Certain principles might not work. So what we learned as an architect, and the touch and feel of the material is very important. So the coziness of the material, and the rigidity of the material, and how close it is to human experience. So those kind of things actually, as an architect, has helped me. Architecture is the first forum. From there I have moved on towards this. I won't say moved on, it's a parallel scenario. So as an architect, has really helped me and understand a lot of principles that go with color crafts. Yeah, I think that's it for the day. If you're done.
Yes, ma'am. We have come to the end of the session.
Yeah, thank you audience for being
So it
patient
was
and
really interesting, and we have to buy more of handmade products so that make the earth sustainable, because most of the
very true.
I would like to thank the
so I call Anup sir to give few words.
Yeah, can you all hear me clearly? Narani, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Can you
yes,
hear me?
yes.
Yes, great. So sorry, there was some feed issue earlier. I wanted to quickly
Oh,
tell our audience, I wanted to thank our audience for participation and continuous support. And to
Yes,
take
sir.
this
Yes.
initiative to the
Yes.
next level, we are shortly coming up with a celebrity talk series. And we'd like to give you a glimpse into the list of speakers that we have who are lined up for you for an event upcoming. And we have our own Dean, Dr. Satish Kumar Naidu, as one of our speakers. Then we have Dr. Manitam, Chairman of Untitled Architecture. V.R. Rajendran, Chairman of Architecture. And Dr. Panchalan, retired registrar of IIT Madras. This is a very exclusive set of people that we have, and I hope you can join us in these sessions as well and enjoy the social distancing. Yeah, that's it from my
Anup,
side. Yeah.
Anup, the link for the e-certificates are available at the end of the chat box. So those who are
Yes.
tuned in can log into the form and apply for the e-certificate as well.
So, dear audience, please click on the link in the chat box for the e-certificates. Thank you all.
Yes. Yeah, Pallavi, you can unmute yourself.
I would like to thank the speaker, Ms. Architect Narayani, for such a wonderful session. I would also like to thank the convener, Dr. P. Satish Kumar, Dean of SRM School of Architecture and Interior Design, and the moderator, Mrs. Sukeshni, and all the faculty members to make this webinar successful. And finally, would also like to thank all the participants for attending this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you all. Tomorrow we are going to have a talk by architect Harini. I hope you all will join in tomorrow. See you on session 5 tomorrow, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.